Today we've heard from Arizona Cardinals offensive coordinator Drew Petzing. And what are his thoughts about why this Arizona Cardinals offense can't get going in the second half? And why Marvin Harrison Jr. just fades away from the game plan? Let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel we cover everything Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. So subscribe it up, it's absolutely for free. All right, everybody, let's go and dive right into it. Let's talk about the latest press conference here from offensive coordinator Drew Petzing. And of course, because the offense was supposed to be the bright spot of the Arizona Cardinals in the 2024 season, being that the fact that the Arizona Cardinals offense is very inconsistent, there's a lot of eyes looking at Drew Petzing right now to try to find the answer as to why the Cardinals aren't consistently converting third downs, why we can't score points in the second half, and where the heck is Marvin Harrison Jr. So let's dive right into a couple different things that he said. Today, Drew Petzing, offensive coordinator of the Cardinals, was asked how we're able to build rhythm in week 5, and this is what Drew Petzing said.
How does this offense find its rhythm again?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to come down. We need to score more points, obviously, but ran the ball for 180 yards, I think over 5 a carry. Kyler completed 72% of his passes. So I think we got to look at the areas that prevented us from putting points on the board. Can be a little bit better on money downs. I think that's got to show up here in the next couple of weeks. A little bit more explosive in the passing game. But I think there's a lot of good on that tape. But I think if we can clean up a couple of those areas, we can get more points on the board. I think that's going to be critical to our success.
Back in those 2 areas.
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think that's always going to be the case when you're limiting. It takes 11 people to be good in those areas. Those are critical situations. You're going to have a lot of one-on-ones. Got to be great from a play call and a design standpoint. They're high-leverage situations. So I think we got to kind of look at everything. And if we can get a little better in a number of areas, I think our execution in those areas can take a step up.
I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but Drew Petzing, as well as the other Cardinals coaches, they all kind of speak like car salesmen, where they answer the question but don't really kind of get to what you're really looking for. But I think at the end of the day, the way that he responded to it, although it is kind of answering the question, he did kind of allude to what the Arizona Cardinals offense did very well, whether it's talking about, Kyler Murray's completion rate or James Conner having a really good game on the ground. Now, the weird thing about this game is that James Conner actually had a really good game on the ground, and usually when that happens, the Arizona Cardinals offense really is a success. But this game really felt a little clunky. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not one of those guys that truly feel like it's only solely on Drew Petzing, offensive coordinator of the Cardinals. Now, can the play calls be called a little better? Can we mix things up on first downs? Of course, yes. But I did watch the All-22 film back, and there has been some plays from Kyler Murray, whether it's the play from Marvin Harrison Jr. when he was on that drag route and Kyler Murray actually throws the ball behind him, or when he actually oversells that ball over to Michael Wilson when he probably shouldn't have gone to Amari DeMarcado. So there's been some plays like that from Kyler Murray where decision making wasn't always the best, but I do agree in a sense where obviously all 11 people need to be able to execute this offense to make sure that it runs as efficiently as it possibly can. But I do honestly kind of lean to the thought of, why didn't the Arizona Cardinals play in these preseason games if we're still struggling here in week 4 with the same issues? I would hope that our coaching staff would be a little bit more proactive, especially if you're seeing these things in practice. Because one thing that I mentioned before is that, what are these Arizona Cardinals players doing in practice, right? Are they just in gym shorts and just tossing the ball around? Is Kyler Murray truly under pressure? Because you got to think about it here. When you do got 4 or 5 big guys coming after you, and I'm talking about obviously Kyler Murray being a quarterback, there needs to be one of those things where you can't emulate game time to practice, right? Obviously, you're going to be able to convert a really nice post route to Marvin Harrison Jr. out of practice, but if Kyler Murray is not being exposed to that, and I'm not saying sack him, but exposed to that maybe in practice, then maybe he can get better in these split-second decision things that are needing to be done, because we're seeing a pivotal point here in our offense where Drew Petzing continues to answer the way that he answers. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of Arizona Cardinal fans right now pointing the fingers to Drew Petzing, and I think he needs to back himself up if he doesn't feel like he is the one that has the issue. Like I mentioned, I do not want to call it a split within this organization or with this offense, but I think that when it comes down to it, if you're going to have to ask yourself offensive coordinator or the quarterback, it's going to be an easy choice for Cardinals fans to obviously choose on the side of Kyler Murray. Now let's move on over to another topic that he was asked today about Kyler Murray not having design runs specifically for him, and this is exactly what Drew Petzing had to say. say.
The Kyler runs, there have only been a handful of design runs for him this season. It's something you had mentioned in training camp, maybe getting involved more. Why is that not happening? What's the reason for that?
I think a lot of it's defensive look. They know he's dynamic with the ball in his hand. A lot of your quarterback runs are read runs or decisions to be made post snap. And if they're going to, dictate, it's also one of the reasons James is having a lot of success because they're attributing a lot of their defense to what Kyler's doing.
This is actually a really good question here because you want to confuse the defense, right? You do not want to be predictable here, right? You do not want to run an every single first down for the Cardinals, right? So I think this is a very good question as to why can't we, put some of these in the game plan, right? Whether it's going to be second down or maybe even a play action fake over to James Conner and then obviously chuck the ball deep down the field. And obviously if it works, it works. But it's just one of those things that I feel like we got to get better in having a certain amount of run plays for Kyler Murray. Now, I get it. This is one of those offenses that we've heard throughout the entirety of the offseason that, Kyler Murray doesn't need to play Superman, right? But it's kind of obvious that when Kyler Murray has more than, 40 to 50 yards on the ground, this offense runs a lot better than when he's being held to less than 10. So I think at the end of the day, what we want to see, Drew Petzing, is the fact that we're actually calling those plays, right? If it's one of those things that we call it, but it's not being executed correctly, or this offensive line or somebody doesn't execute it, then we can kind of attribute to, hey, that guy made a mistake right there, right? But being the fact that we're not seeing him at all, I do blame that on offensive coordinator in Drew Petzing, being the fact that you just got to throw it out there, right? You got to call those plays every once in a while because if you don't, because you do not know if Kyler Murray is going to be able to break a 20 to 30 yard run if it was called.
Go up a little bit in the fourth. Why do you think there's such a drop off consistently in the second and third quarter? And even on Sunday, Kyler said he could feel it happen during the game. So why do you think this and how do you fix it?
I think a big portion of that the last 2 weeks is we haven't been able to stay on the field. If you're not converting on money downs, you're getting less plays in those areas. And in those 2 quarters, we've struggled to convert on third down. So we're getting less opportunities at the plate. I think that's a big part of it.
And the last thing I want to dive into is the whole, what is the drop off, right? Why do we drop off offensively in second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, what have you, right? In the second half, what is with these drop offs in the offensive side of the ball, right? It doesn't make sense because in the first drive, we are running the ball and we're making this offense look very, very good, right? In the first drive. And then after that, it just completely falls apart. I want to highlight one thing here. I love the fact that there was a little bit of a pushback here from the media saying that Kyler Murray said that he felt it, right? He felt the fact that Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't get the ball, right? So it's one of those things that, I'm glad we're starting to now push a little bit back because it's the truth. Why would Kyler Murray say one thing, but also, you guys, the coaching staff, saying something differently, right? So there needs to be a thing where something needs to get fixed. Obviously, he did attribute the biggest reason as to why we're not, being efficient in the second half is because of third down efficiencies. And he's right. So last game, we actually were 4 for 11 in third down efficiencies. And the week prior for the Lions game, we were 1 for 9. There's no way you're going to be able to sustain your offense on the field if you cannot convert a third down. Now, we're going to ask ourselves, is it play calling? Is it Kyler Murray? Because let's call it like it is. I know a lot of people are saying, why would you not run the ball in third and short with James Conner, right? Why would you throw the ball? But I also ask to myself, does Kyler Murray have the ability to audible out of a play? I'm assuming he does, right? He's a year 6 quarterback. We're not talking about a rookie quarterback, and I'm assuming he has some sort of leeway to change a play call, right? So I think a question that should be asked is, can Kyler Murray change the play if he sees a specific design that we're going to be able to expose offensively, right? And if that's the case, and if he can change the plays, then, we can kind of attribute to Kyler Murray needed to change that play to a run play, and instead of Kyler Murray decided to throw the ball. It's one of those things that this Arizona Cardinal coaching staff, I get it, right? I completely understand that they want to keep things in-house, and I respect it. But if we're constantly seeing the same things over and over again, we need a little transparency here as a fan base, as a person that says to themselves, what the heck is going on with this offense when you have Marvin Harrison Jr. and you got Kyler Murray, one of the most dynamic quarterbacks out there. So we need to be able to see some consistency on the offensive side of the ball, especially in the second half, because we're not going to be able to win much games if the Cardinals cannot score points in the second half. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are your thoughts here on Drew Petzing? Do you agree with what he says? Do you not agree with what he says? Let me know in the comments below. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day and go Cardinals.